Hamilton? They heard a voice shout out from nearby. Is that you? As they both turned to see a group of figures standing in the clearing along with them. From the appearances, it appeared to be one very old friend of Hamilton's, Salis, being accompanied by a group of individuals that he could not recognize. One woman who appeared to be in her late 20s, maybe early 30s at the latest. Another woman who looked to be maybe in her 40s. A very small amount of graying hair, but not much else. And 2 children, both with long white hair and foggy white eyes. Foster quickly turned to these individuals. Whoa, okay, hello? She said, giving them a wave. My name's Foster? You called out to Hamilton, right? So, one of you knows who he is? Foster said, still trying to shake off her last thought. Yeah, that bastard knows who I am. That's Salis, a.k.a. the Siren King. What? Foster shouted. That's the freaking Siren King? You know him? Yes, I know him. What in the hell is he doing out here? Foster shouted, towards Hamilton, feeling extremely confused. That is not the deal we made with her. We weren't supposed to find your old friend. Yeah, you're telling me. After what we paid her, this was not the deal that was requested. Hamilton, how the hell did you get out here? What the hell was that light? Well, quite simply, I cut a deal, and honestly, I don't think it's working out. Damn it all! This is not how it was supposed to work. This isn't where I was supposed to be at all. That witch got it wrong. And are those kids? Do you have kids? Hamilton said, as he peered over, looking at the 2 children standing around a picnic napkin, seeming to be enjoying lunch. Hamilton, Salis shouted out. I'm actually pretty surprised to see you. While I didn't expect you to show up like this, it is nice to see you. We even got a nice sunny day. You know, they say it's good luck to meet people under clear skies, Salis said, looking to Hamilton. For a moment, Hamilton was a bit taken back, but in his mind, he immediately recognized the statement that Salis had made. It was a code phrase. They say it's good luck to meet under clear skies. It's one of many code phrases that they have. They use them in specific situations when it's not safe to speak freely. Yes, they do say that, don't they? Hamilton said, as he suddenly started taking very close stock of his surroundings. Well, I don't care what the weather's like. We weren't supposed to end up here with his old friend, Foster said, crossing her arms. The deal was so that we'd get transported. And before Foster could finish her statement, Foster, Hamilton shouted, as his hand made contact with her shoulder, startling her for a moment. You know, it's very rude to disregard statements when you're a guest somewhere, Hamilton said, looking at her very seriously. And just at that moment, Foster began to hear something. In the back of her mind, she began to hear Hamilton's voice. Hey, Foster, do not acknowledge what I'm telling you right now. I'm speaking into your mind with magic. My friend here just used a code phrase. It means that it's not safe to talk openly. Someone's listening. someone you don't want to tell your secrets to. So, why don't you be a little bit more friendly with my old pal? Hamilton said aloud, giving Foster a smile. We made a deal with someone to get quick transportation here, but it looks like they goofed it. We were supposed to appear somewhere farther away. We wanted to surprise you, but this isn't exactly how we wanted to do it. Hey, Hamilton, it's nice to see you again. What brings you around? Oh, I was just traveling a bit and thought I'd pay you a visit, Hamilton replied to Salis. This is my new girlfriend, Foster, Hamilton said, reaching his arm and pulling Foster in closely. We couldn't be happier. As Hamilton pulled Foster in, she couldn't help but feel extremely uneasy with it. After what the hag said that she did, now the situation felt more complicated to her. She already knew about Hamilton's ability to lie, and that made her uncomfortable enough. But now, this new element, the binding of his heart thread to her, was there any true feeling in what Hamilton was saying right now? To be honest, it just creeped her out. But for the moment, knowing that someone was listening in, she tried her best to play it cool. Yeah, we're just doing great together, Foster said, as she raised her hand, giving a thumbs up, and immediately regretting it, as it didn't really seem like a we're in a relationship type thing. Yeah, Salis replied. Well, this is my family. That's my wife, Melody, and these are my children, Taleon and Rico. And that lovely older woman over there is my wife's mother. Her name is Vera. So, now that the introductions are done, I think we need to do some serious catching up, my old friend. Why don't you come with me? We can go back to the house. We just got finished eating lunch. But if you guys have been on the road, I guess you're sparse for some food. A nice home-cooked meal looks like it would do you some good. You need to pack on a few more pounds, Hamilton. You're looking thin. Ugh, I look the same as I always look. Yeah, Salis replied. Too thin, he said laughingly as he began to walk away. Hey guys, I've told you about this guy before. Hamilton, remember? He's actually the one that I was going to ask to help instruct Taleon and Rico in magic. But wouldn't it beat all? He just sort of shows up. So how about we all head back to the house so we can have a nice quiet discussion. And some dinner, sweetheart, he said, looking over to Melody. Everyone aside from Silas had a somewhat dumbfounded expression on their face. Sure, honey, Melody replied. Well, isn't this an interesting turn of events? Vera said, still gazing distrustfully at Hamilton and his guest. But they wasted no time in packing up the picnic napkin and stowing it away and beginning to travel back in a different direction, beginning to exit the clearing. Hamilton and Foster following suit, beginning to walk through a section of the woods. Foster still felt somewhat nervous, knowing that someone was watching them, uneasy with the situation, especially with the fact that everybody seemed to be playing a part. She found herself looking at her feet, trying to think things over. Why the witch would send her here when that wasn't the deal? She was supposed to help them find the prince, right? She thought to herself, scratching her chin a bit as she walked. And as she did, she noticed the boy walking in front of her, continually looking back at her, as if he was interested in her in some way. Is there something wrong, little boy? She said, looking at the young white-haired boy. No. It's just I've never seen anyone who looks like you. We're kind of secluded out here. So to be honest, I haven't met that many other demons. Aside from myself, my sister, and my dad, he said. And as he said it, Foster noted that he was questioning it. The way he called Salus his father felt as if it didn't come naturally to him. But yeah, aside from us and these two guys a little while back, you're basically the only other demon I've ever seen. Well, aren't you a secluded little guy? You guys never travel around or see other demons at all? I figured with your dad being the Siren King, you would get out more, Foster said, smiling down towards the young boy. No, we stay pretty cooped up. This is a pretty isolated part of the country. No one really comes out here, and we don't travel. So, where do you come from, lady? Well, she said as she looked around, peering up and finding the mountain looming overhead. Wow, we're very close to the mountain. I don't think I've ever been this far east before. We're basically right under it, she said as she looked up at the mountain. Well, from where we are currently, at least by what I can tell from the state of the mountain, which side we appear to be on, I'm from that direction, Foster said, pointing south of the mountain. Go that direction in a few 100 miles, and you'll find where I'm from. At least where I grew up. Okay, so what kind of demon are you? Oh, I'm an Oni. An Oni? What exactly is that? What kind of powers do you have? Oh, well, Oni have a range of abilities. We're extra strong and fast. We can heal pretty quickly. We have a higher demonic energy output than many other mid-range demons. Oh, and we do have one other ability. We get to ignore gravity. Ignore gravity? The boy said, looking back at Foster. Oh, maybe a demonstration, she said, smiling, as she stepped away from the group for a moment. The group stopped as Foster walked away, heading towards a nearby tree. And with seemingly no effort at all, she began to simply walk up the side of the tree, standing on it as if it were solid ground. Her hair and clothes hanging downward towards the ground as she stood completely sideways and seemingly unaffected. She didn't appear to be doing anything abnormal or using any abilities. She wasn't summoning demonic energy. It seemed as if she was just standing on the side of the tree. We can basically ignore gravity. It doesn't really mean anything to us. Walk on walls, ceilings, just as if they were the ground itself. Whoa, that's cool, Taleon said, smiling in her direction. Yeah, Salus said, looking over his shoulder. I think that's enough showing off for the kid. We should probably get going, he said, trying to hurry things up. Yeah, sure, Foster said, hopping down and rejoining the group. And it wasn't long before all of them found themselves back at the house, with Foster and Hamilton along with them. Salus stood at the door as everybody entered, smiling and gesturing for them to enter, welcoming them joyously to his home. And as Hamilton and Foster were the last to cross through the doorway, entering behind everyone else, Salus closed the door and locked it. As Foster and Hamilton turned around to look at Salus, they noticed a very large sigil drawn on the door, a ward against those that might be looking to spy on you. an exceptionally strong one. What the actual hell? You just dropped in out of nowhere? Salas shouted with a furious expression on his face. And at the worst freaking time. No warning at all. This is gonna be hard. I don't know how to work this. But at least if you're here, that might give us an edge if we move quickly. But if they get jumpy, decide for run for backup, then this could be a lot trickier. Damn it all! Salas shouted, crossing his arms and staring down at the floor. What in the hell are you even doing here? Oh, and yes, it's free to talk. The seal works. Finally, Hamilton replied. As we said before, it was a botched spell. What kind of botched spell would bring you here? Salas said. And at a very inconvenient time, no less. I'm sorry, I'm not the one who did the spell, Hamilton replied. Look, I don't know if you know this, but Mesotora's son has recently been detected here in the world of humans. There's a great deal of powerful individuals flowing into this world to find him. I just happen to be one of them. Mesotora asked me a favor. He couldn't leave, so he told me to come to the human world to get ahead of the troops and the bounty hunters that might be out looking for him, to find his son and bring him home. I eventually met up with Fausta. She's supposed to be my guide. After a fair bit of traveling, we found our way to the lair of someone called the Hag, a powerful practitioner of magic, supposedly from the Fey realm. She was supposed to transport us to the prince so that we could take him home. But instead, for some reason, she teleported us to you. So, what the hell is going on out there? Why can't we speak freely? Who's listening? And why the hell would her spell take us to you instead of the prince? Hamilton said frustratedly. So that's it, Salas replied, running his hands through his hair for a moment. Okay, so maybe this is a good thing after all. That definitely works in our favor. And it looks like the deal you made worked out just fine. What? Hamilton replied. You simpleton. How the hell did it work out just fine if it didn't take me to the prince? I don't exactly have a lot of time. Salas just smiled back at Hamilton. Well, it did take you to the prince, he said, raising his hand and pointing a single finger down at the white-haired boy standing behind them. I'd like to introduce you to young Prince Avalar, he said, as a waft of white smoke drifted off of the boy, suddenly the white hair fading away into silver. The glossed-over white eyes now beaming a bright blue, glowing somewhat, slit like a snake's, and appearing seemingly from nowhere, a long silver tail, waving slightly behind him. Hi again, he said, raising a hand and waving at Hamilton and Fausta. Sorry, but he's not actually my dad. We just sort of need to pretend that for the time being. My name is Taleon, though, or at least that's the name my mom gave me. But I suppose my original mom named me this Avalar? To be honest, it's a little confusing, but I'm trying to keep track of it. Hamilton was completely stunned, as was Fausta, as they peered back at the young boy. You have to be kidding me, Hamilton said. You've been with him? For how long? He said, looking furiously in Salas's direction. Hey, don't give me that expression. I didn't take the kid, okay? I just happened to stumble across him. His grandmother came looking for an instructor for magic, someone who could teach him demon magic. And I just happened to put two and two together that it was Mesotora's kid. It's only been a little bit over a week. Currently, I've been training him, trying to prepare him for the journey. Our plan was to train him up so that he would be competent enough to survive making it back home.